Welcome all. Today we will discuss on a new topic that is maxillofacial prosthetics. Maxillofacial prosthetics, as you all know, is a branch of prosthodontics which is concerned with the restoration and replacement of the stomatognathing and craniofacial structures. The use of osseointegrated implants. This branch has taken new heights. The importance have increased dramatically in your rehabilitation of patients with the facial tumors and trauma. So, with no delay, we will start with the topic. So, it is defined as that art and science of anatomic, functional, or cosmetic reconstruction by means of non living substitutes of those regions in the maxilla, mandible, and face that are missing or defective because of surgical intervention, trauma, pathology, or development or congenital malformation. Glossary of prosthodontic terms 8 define maxillofacial prosthetics as branch of prosthodontics concerned with restoration and replacement of the stomatognathic and craniofacial structures with prostheses that may or may not be removed on a regular or elective basis. So you can opt for any of these definitions. I feel the glossary of prosthodontic term definition is a bit more simpler than what it is being written on the slide. So, what is the objective of maxillofacial prosthetics? As the definition says, it is concerned with the restoration and replacement of the lost stomatognathic or craniofacial structures. So, it basically deals with the restoration of aesthetics or cosmetic appearance of the patient. If you look a patient who has got a carcinoma, which is benign or malignant, and a part of the face is been removed because of that carcinoma as a part of treatment. So it is basically impossible for the patient to go out without rehabilitating that lost part. So there are two options for rehabilitation. One is plastic surgery, and the next one is maxillofacial prosthodontics. So this maxillofacial prosthetics rehabilitates that patient and gives a better quality of life, or give a cosmetic rehabilitation and give a pleasing appearance to that patient. So this is one of the objective of maxillofacial prosthetics. Along with the aesthetics, it also improves function or restores the function of that patient. Then it protects the tissues. It has got a therapeutic or a healing effect when you give the processes immediately during the surgery or during the healing phase. Then psychological advantage of the patient, he will be more motivated to go around with the processes on rather than going out without the processes, and improving the quality of life, as I told earlier. So these are the basic objectives of maxillofacial prosthetics. It restores the aesthetics, it restores the function, it protects the tissues, it has got a therapeutic as well as a healing effect, psychological advantage to the patient in moving around, and improves the quality of life tremendously. So many literature are there in the different journals which quotes improved quality of life with maxillofacial prosthetics. So as I told earlier, there are two options for rehabilitating these patients who have undergone treatment for trauma or tumor. One is maxillofacial prosthetics and the other one being plastic surgery. So there are limitations of plastic surgery. Advanced age of the patient is one of the limitation. Poor health of the patient, very large deformity we cannot treat with by plastic surgery. Poor blood circulation or blood supply and post radiated tissue, then systemic diseases and economic conditions. So there are lots of disadvantages or limitations with plastic surgery. So this gives an upper hand for maxillofacial prosthetics or maxillofacial prosthodontist to act and save the life of these patients who are tremendously affected by means of mental trauma as well as the sufferings which they have undergone. So anytime maxillofacial prosthetics is having a superior and over plastic surgery, if the patient has got advanced age, poor health, large deformity which cannot be repaired. So that is why maxillofacial prosthodontics is very much life saving in this situation for patients who have undergone these kind of situations like trauma and tumor associated with stomatognathic or craniofacial structures. So classification of maxillofacial defects is very important when you look into academic point of view. There are so many classifications for maxillofacial defects based on incidence, location, etiology. Here I have quoted only one classification. If you are very keen or interested, you can go through the other classification of defects. So basically it is been classified into two, that is intraoral defects and extraoral defects. Under intraoral defects you have congenital defects and acquired defects. Under congenital defects you have cleft lip and palate, which may be in adults or infants or toddlers. Under acquired defects you have defects related to trauma and defects related to tumor. Trauma, it's related to maxilla and mandible. Tumor, it can be of maxilla, mandible and even tongue. When it comes to extraoral defects, you have again congenital defects and acquired defects. Congenital auricular defects, congenital ocular defects, congenital syndromatic defects. And acquired, again you have ocular defects, orbital defects, nasal defects, auricular defects. So this is one of the classification of maxillofacial defects. As I told earlier, there are many classifications. If you are very keen in knowing what are the different classification of maxillofacial defects, you can very well refer to the textbooks or literature. So we will start with congenital maxillary defects. So under congenital maxillary defects, you have a cleft lip and cleft palate. So you should know the embryology regarding the development of lip as well as palate. Then it will be easy for you to identify the reasons for this cleft lip and cleft palate. So we will see what is a cleft lip. It is nothing but failure of one or both maxillary processes not fusing with the medial nasal process. So if you have a failure, you will have a unilateral or a bilateral cleft lip depending upon the extent of non-fusion. You can have a defective fusion or a defective fusion on the defective deformity on the midline also, wherein you have a part of the frontal process development is being imbibed and you will have a midline defect of the upper lip. So these are the maxillary defects pertaining to lip. When it comes to cleft palate, it is because of the defective fusion of various components of palates like the maxillary process, the horizontal process of the palate. So you should be knowing what are the anatomical or embryological phases of development of palate, giving rise to different lesions. So when you look into the defect of cleft palate, the simplest one is the cleft of the alveolus, whereas the complex extensive defect involving the soft palate and hard palate are also there. We have given a classification for cleft palate which has been widely used. So I have quoted those classes in my slide. Class 1, isolated cleft palate, soft palate cleft, isolated soft palate cleft. Class 2, isolated hard and soft palate cleft. Class 3, unilateral cleft lip and palate, and Class 4, bilateral cleft lip and palate. As I told earlier, for maxillofacial prosthetic defects, Similarly, for cleft palate also you have a lot of classification. You can go through the textbooks in orthodontics and very well know what are the different classifications of cleft palate. So, congenital maxillary defects, you have two: cleft lip and cleft palate. Under acquired maxillary defects, you have either by means of trauma or by means of tumor. Trauma, road traffic accidents, and tumor, you will have defect because of epidermoid carcinoma, salivary gland tumors, malignant and benign mesenchymal tumors. So maxillofacial prosthodontics, it's a team effort wherein you have different people acting at different stages in rehabilitation. So planned cooperation between all the team members is very important if you need to rehabilitate the patient with great satisfaction. So this is a team which usually functions for rehabilitating a patient who has undergone trauma or tumor related to stomatognathtic or craniofacial structures. It includes a maxillofacial prosthodontist, the surgeon, the radiation therapist or radiotherapist, the speech therapist, psychiatrist, the social worker, and other dental specialties if it is been required. So moving on with the maxillofacial defects. Under acquired maxillofacial defects, you ask the surgeon in to do your surgical procedure or the surgical treatment based on different modalities or different rehabilitative options which is been generally available to the prosthodontist. So to communicate with the surgeon regarding the enucleation, if it has been associated with a cleft palate or cleft lip, there is a classification, that is Ramani's classification, which help the surgeon to detect the amount of resection which he can do so that the prosthodontist can give an effective rehabilitative prosthesis which will be useful to the patient. So this can come as a short note, what is Ramani's classification. So here I have incorporated the different pictures of the classes which is being included under Ramani's classification. It is been divided into 6 classes. So you have 6 options of rehabilitation. So the surgeon can work based on this classification and he can do the enucleation based on this classification so that it will be easy for the prosthodontist to rehabilitate these patients. So each class has got different rehabilitative technique based on fulcrum, leverage, retention, stability, support. So it is important for you to know what is this classification. You need to by heart these pictures: class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5 and class 6. If you can elaborate on this classification, that is well and fine. If you have a shortage of time when you attempt your answer, these diagrams will tell the story and it will be easy for you to fetch marks. So class 1 is the most widely recommended resection protocol. It is performed along the midline of the maxilla. The teeth are maintained on one side of the arch. And most of the maxillary defect, and most of the patients fall in this category. So this is the most widely seen defective cases. So one side only is being resected and the opposite side will help in rehabilitation. Class 2, it is a unilateral defect retaining the anterior teeth on the contralateral side. The recommended design is similar to that of the class 2 Kennedy's removable RPD design. So if the lesion is very small, it is better to resect the area, this area, so that the prosthodontist will be rehabilitating this patient with a removable appliance which has been similar to Kennedy's class 2 condition. Class 3, the palatal defect occurs on the central portion of the hard palate and may involve the soft palate. Here again, the rehabilitation will be easy because you have all the complementary teeth which has been there in the maxilla retained. So you can plan a processes with good retention, stabilization and reciprocation. Moving on with class 4, the defect crosses the midline and involves both sides of the maxilla. There are only a few remaining teeth, so here the rehabilitation of these patients with the retentive processes becomes challenging to the prosthodontist. Class 5, a surgical defect with bilateral posterior area missing. You have only remaining anterior natural tooth. So again, the defect is quite extensive and rehabilitation is challenging. Class 6 is very rare and not seen much. The defect is there in the anterior aspect and you have all the remaining posterior tooth. Most of the times it occurs with trauma or associated with trauma. Congenitally it is seen very rarely, but usually this classification or this kind of defect will be there in class 6. I mean in trauma. So this is Aramane's classification. Please draw the diagram of each class and learn the class. You can get a short note on Aramane's classification. So this is the classification for the communication with the surgeon. You communicate with the surgeon and ask him what sort of resection he is planning, whether he is going for a class 1 Aramane's classification resection or class 2. So based on the extent of the lesion and you can decide upon how you need to enucleate or how the surgeon should work upon and remove the tumor. And so the rehabilitative processes will depending upon the extent of resection. So moving on with acquired soft palate defects, that was the hard palate defect. Soft palate defect are very difficult for rehabilitation. As you all know, soft palate is a movable part of the palate. It has been divided into anterior, middle and posterior part and a lot of muscle attachments are there associated with soft palate. And you have a swallowing, speech, all comes into picture when you talk about soft palate. Whenever you do your complete denture process also, soft palate is a crucial area from wherein you get maximum retention for your maxillary denture. So when you talk about maxillary soft palate defects, you need to know few things regarding soft palate defects. They are the vulvopharyngeal inadequacy, the vulvopharyngeal insufficiency and vulvopharyngeal incompetency. So what is all this thing about? So vulvopharyngeal inadequacy is a malfunction of the vulvopharyngeal mechanism which is routinely taking place in normal life, wherein the soft palate plays a crucial part. It plays an important role in speech as well as in deglutination. So the soft palate muscle, if it has been imbibed, this vulvopharyngeal inadequacy will be there because the patient will have difficulty in swallowing as well as in speech. Vulvopharyngeal insufficiency is the inability of the vulvopharyngeal sphincter to sufficiently separate the nasal cavity from the oral cavity during speech. It is a sphincter which has been present at the junction of the nasal and the oral cavity. So when you have an insufficiency with the vulvopharyngeal part, the patient usually will have a difficulty in separating the nasal cavity and oral cavity during speech. So there will be regurgitation of fluids through the nose if there is insufficiency. And incompetency when the soft palate and lateral and posterior pharyngeal walls fail to separate the oral cavity from the nasal cavity during speech. So, as the extent of the lesion goes, the difficulty increases, and the terminologies changes from inadequacy to insufficiency to incompetency. So, for treating soft palate defects, you have two processes. One is palatal lift prosthesis, and the other one is speech aid prosthesis. Palatal lift prosthesis is used in the treatment of vulvopharyngeal incompetency. It has got an oral component and an oropharyngeal extension. The oral component takes gives the retention to the prosthesis by engaging the remaining natural teeth as well as the palate. So here you extend your plate as much as possible to get maximum retention. And the vulvopharyngeal extension part helps in rehabilitating the incompetent soft palate, as it pushes the soft palate to that defectly area and holds the soft palate in that particular area so that the patient can speak and swallow without much complications of oral regurgitation or nasal sound, nasal tone, or difficulties which has been associated with those conditions. And it is been classified as interim or definitive prosthesis. So this is one process which has been used in treatment of soft palate defect. The other one being, as I told earlier, speech aid prosthesis, and it is used in vulvopharyngeal insufficiency. So the prosthesis again helps in proper speech aid as well as in deglutination. Here the process has got an extension into the vulvopharyngeal space, which occupies the nasopharyngeal space at the level of atlas and axis vertebrae, that is cervical vertebrae. Here the retention of the process is quite difficult, so most of the time we incorporate osseointegrated implants into the remaining bone to provide extra retention. So with this, I will wind up today's session, interactive session on maxillofacial prosthetics, and we will see regarding the rehabilitation of hard palate defects in the next class. So thank you once again. If you have any doubts or queries, you please post your doubts in the WhatsApp group. We will discuss, and we will see what are the difficulties, and we will finally come to a conclusion. Thank you.